Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today we have some spoilers for Campaign 3 of Critical Role up to episode 105. So if you aren't caught up with episode 105, I recommend clicking off and getting caught up. Mostly we're talking about Braius Doomseed today, so if you don't want anything spoiled about him specifically, I recommend clicking off and getting caught up. That was your last warning. When Braius was first introduced to the group and to us, the viewers, on episode 98 of Campaign 3, the live show for this campaign, I was a little worried that his character would just be a joke character, or we wouldn't get too much out of him. He would be a super surface level character who we wouldn't get too much out of because of how late in the campaign he was introduced. Keep in mind, specifically looking back at Campaign 1, Terry was introduced at episode 85 of that campaign, a full 13 hours sooner than what Braius was introduced at. And for those of you who want to do like averages and hours, that's about 52 hours before or more time that we had to spend with that character. Now, of course, Terry would be, replaced again by the original character, Scanlan, but if Terry was going to be the character to be used for the rest of Campaign 1, he would have had 29 episodes to do it with. Now, of course, we don't know how long Campaign 3 is going to be, but at the time, and as of recently, it seems that Campaign 3 is sort of coming to an end, or at least that was the feeling a bunch of us had beforehand. And it seemed like initially it might just reach that same length as Campaign 1, 114 area. So, however, this is not the case. None of this is the case. It seems that right now we're probably going to reach more like into the Campaign 2 stuff, so 140. So now there's a lot more room to breathe with the Braius character, and luckily we've already been introduced to a ton of cool things about the character and his backstory. Braius is very much a joke-esque character. His backstory, or his entire backstory, is built off an event that happened in Campaign 2 when Jester and Not went into the Platinum Sanctuary in Zadash and put a bunch of dicks everywhere all over the place and defiled the place. His character was the one that they tricked to get in, and he was booted out of the Platinum Sanctuary, or the Platinum Temple, because of that. And that is a joke, obviously being built off a joke that happened in Campaign 2. So yes, the element of a joking character is still there, but as is Sam's will and way, he makes it into something a lot more serious. And it's something that has very much impacted the character of Braius. He's been excommunicated from his religion. His family have sort of terminated their, relationship with him. And because of that, it drove him into the arms of Asmodeus. And Braius seems pretty hard set on the whole Asmodeus thing, him being a follower, a herald of Asmodeus. When they watched the vision, he didn't look at it the same as everyone else. He sort of saw it as a sympathetic view from or for the perspective of Asmodeus. Asmodeus, in his eyes, wanted to get his family back and was willing to do whatever it took, but his family shot that idea down in order to save all of themselves and potentially save humans and mortals, right? He looked at it in that perspective, as in, why didn't the rest of the gods, the prime deities, side with his family to help him and the rest of the betrayer gods? He also doesn't like the term betrayer gods, which I think is something a follower of Asmodeus or any other betrayer god would agree with. Like, they're not betrayers, they're people seeking to get their family back. That makes a lot of sense to me, and is really interesting, because now a path for redemption has opened back up, which is odd because you wouldn't think that a character who seems to be super hard set on following their god would need redemption. But now this opportunity has presented itself, with Vord in episode 105 giving Braius the Truth Bearer armor, which is a very powerful relic of the Platinum Dragon and the Platinum Sanctuary. Now, this armor came about because the Platinum Sanctuary and the representatives of Vasselheim asked the Bell's Hells who in the group represents the gods. Who here represents the gods amongst your group, so we know that there is someone who can actually, represent them and fight for them as they go up to literally fight to protect and save the gods from the release of the God Eater. Braius stepped forward and said that he represented the Platinum Dragon, and he will do so on Rudis with the Bell's Hells. Vord sort of wanted to get more information out of Braius and asked which of the great saints that Braius was the one who he followed or represented. And Braius actually said Saint Graham, which, by the way, I love this little interaction because Matt actually gave him the choice to come up with a saint that he followed based on the religion roll, which was really high. So he was able to make up a saint that is now in lore for Critical Role, which I think is really cool. And this saint, Saint Graham, was actually the saint of redemption, a saint who fell off the path, but in his later years came back to the order. And I very much like this because it puts us in the perspective of potentially Braius, even though it might be a lie, Braius does look at redemption, and so does Sam. Sam is looking at a potential path of redemption for this character, which I very much like. Now, unfortunately, Vord saw through this a little bit and later would actually rub off the sort of paint on top of his armor to show not the Platinum Dragon symbol, but instead the Asmodeus symbol. And then, with the help of Pike, Vord was convinced to give Braius a chance at redemption, which I'm very, very, very excited for, because this is when he received the Truth Bearer armor. And now, this armor, in my opinion, is going to show the progression of Braius and if he's going to actually continue down the path of darkness with Asmodeus or go up the path of light with the Platinum Dragon. So this makes me ask the question, what path will Braius be going down? Now, I don't think he'll, turn around and try to find another path. I feel like this character is very religious-based, so, going down an elemental path doesn't make much sense to me, and I don't think there's, time for that. We don't know how much time we have, but I don't think there's that much time, if that makes sense. So for me, it seems like he's going to walk down the path of the Platinum Dragon or the path of Asmodeus. And I want to kind of look at both possibilities and reasons as to why he would do either or. So now I kind of want to talk about the Asmodeus route first, because it's the one he's kind of currently on. Right? He's a follower of Asmodeus. He truly seems to believe in it. He sided with him with the vision and all of that stuff. So it's important to sort of talk about the path he's currently on. And it all starts back with his, initial backstory of being kicked out of his church because he was tricked to let people in who didn't represent the sanctuary, and it got vandalized by a bunch of penises because Jester and Not, that was their fun. That was what they wanted to do in Campaign 2. So there was penises everywhere. It didn't burn the place down like Braius said, but he's over-exaggerating it as to what happened. However, I don't think that is fair, to say that he's been kicked out because somebody was, came in and he got kicked out because someone just, drew a couple of dicks around the place. For him to be completely excommunicated from his religion, excommunicated from his family, and, put in a very vulnerable position to where a evil god could swoop in and sort of say, hey, I'm here for you, that isn't, there's not enough here to make me think he should have been kicked out from his religion. So the fact that he shows that, yes, these gods are bad, and in his eyes, he should continue to think that way. The god's followers and the gods themselves are bad because he made a single mistake, and he was pushed into the arms of another betrayer god, or into just a betrayer god in general. So realistically, he should, logically, in my opinion, continue down this path of Asmodeus, because it's not really redemption. There is no redemption to be had if he walks back towards the Platinum Sanctuary, because he shouldn't need to be redeemed for this small infraction, in my opinion. It isn't enough to say, hey, now unless something else happened that he hasn't said quite yet, which we don't know, he hasn't said it yet. But as of right now, with the story that we do know, there's no reason that he should have been put in this position. So realistically, he was done unfairly and should continue down the path of Asmodeus. And frankly, this is when I think Asmodeus should actually finally reach out to this character, when he should finally reach out to Braius and say, hey, there is no path of redemption here. They did you so dirty. There is no reason for you to go back to them, because they kicked you out over the smallest infraction. They'll kick you out of it again, right? They'll kick you out because you took a wrong turn at the sanctuary or something silly like that. You were kicked out because someone tricked you and then vandalized the place. You could have cleaned it up afterwards and made sure it didn't happen again. But instead they kicked you out, and now you no longer have a family to communicate with at all. There is no path of redemption for you. That is the way that Asmodeus should sort of approach this now. Because if he is on this tightrope of, is he going to go to is he going to fall into the light or is he going to fall into the darkness? Asmodeus should try to push him into the darkness and keep him on that side and say, hey, finally he's going to communicate with him. And two, there's no reason for you to go to the other side. They fucked you over once already. They'll do it again. Now, looking at the Platinum Dragon side of all of it has to make me go into meta territory, as in what Sam might be thinking for the character. Because, again, I kind of want to focus on the Saint Graham here. Why would Sam make a character up out of nowhere who's based around redemption if redemption wasn't going to be the path he would like to take for this character? And realistically, that's all I have to go on for the redemption side of all of it. Yes, it's a good idea or a cool idea that he could go back to it, but everything that Braius has said and done about his backstory and about his time with Asmodeus up to this point doesn't lead me towards him thinking he needs to be redeemed. But if Sam is thinking about a redeemed character in the past known as Saint Graham, it makes a lot of sense that he wants Braius to go down a very similar path. Now, do I think this could work? Of course. There's obviously a ton of more time to lean in this direction of redemption. However, I do think it is a lot more likely to stick on the path of Asmodeus because, first of all, there's more evidence to support that side as of right now. So maybe it's a bit early or premature to be making this video, but I do think it makes a lot more sense for him to stay on that path. Now, like I said, he may be getting influenced by other people around him, and he may be getting influenced by the city of Vasselheim and where he stands, and the fact that Orm has been reached out to by a god and has had a straight up communion with them, and it's taken him 5 fucking years of following Asmodeus, and he's received but fuck all with the exception of a couple images on the wall after he's killed somebody and painted with their blood. That is all Braius has received so far, and Orm, who is not a god communicator, a god follower in any sense of the word, has already received word from a god. And now, to sort of put into more perspective, the Truth Bearer armor. Vord, a high bearer of the Platinum Dragon, has gifted Braius a very ornate and powerful armor set of a warrior of the Platinum Dragon, which is, in essence, still a lot more than what we know Asmodeus has given him so far. The only thing Asmodeus has given him is sort of a path to walk down, where now another path has been presented for Braius on the side of the Platinum Dragon, but he's also received this armor set, which is incredible. And, you know, the High Bearer has already said that you will be redeemed in the Platinum Dragon's eyes for whatever happened in the past if you complete this mission. That is a lot more verbally that he's got confirmation-wise than anything Asmodeus has done. So if we want to look at it that way, both paths are very, very viable. But if I'm Asmodeus, this is the moment I start communicating with Braius. Now, the reason I mentioned earlier why I think that the Truthbearer armor could be like some sort of narrative way to tell the story for Braius is because, depending on which path he can go, I believe the Truthbearer armor could become a relic of the Red Solstice, which is the same thing that happened to Seedling. Seedling was elevated to this relic of the Red Solstice, which is effectively a vestige, which is a very powerful weapon or item. And I think this same thing could happen to the Truthbearer armor. Now, it is already pretty good. It gives the protection, the fighting style, 30 extra lay on hands, and it already just sets the base AC to like 20, I think. So that's pretty insane. So it's okay and pretty good already. I feel like it could get a few more things, maybe increase his spell save DCs or something like that. But it could become a relic of the Red Solstice, whether it goes down the path of light or darkness. And visually, it could change depending on that. Now, it is already in the Platinum Dragon's color scheme, but I could imagine it becoming more like dragon-like if he goes down that path, or it could shift to like full-on black and have black horns or white horns because that's his color scheme. And I think it could, depending on which path he goes down, if he goes down the path of the Platinum Dragon, become more platinum and dragon-like, or down the path of Asmodeus, become more black horns and devil and hell-ish like. And I think that would be a very cool image for the Braius character at the end of the campaign, depending on which path he went down. So, do you think that Braius should keep going down the path of Asmodeus, or should he make a turn and go down the path of the Platinum Dragon? Or do you think he has a third path? Maybe elementals are a possibility for the character. Or do you think he could go down both paths? Whether he starts going down the path of redemption and then shifts back towards the path of darkness, depending on how Asmodeus starts talking to him. Or could he do the opposite? Could he continue down the path of Asmodeus, and then as time goes on, sees the the error of his ways, and then starts to go back down the path of redemption? Because realistically, both paths are there. He could constantly switch back and forth between either, and I don't think there would be much of an issue there. I do feel like there is time for that to happen. So let me know what you think. Do you think it's more possible he sticks with Asmodeus, the Platinum Dragon, or something else? Let me know. And let me know what you think about the whole armor set changing depending on which path he goes down. I think that would be a very cool visual because eventually Campaign 3 will get animated, and something like that would be really cool. Small subtle changes to the armor depending on which path he starts going down. I think that would be really cool visually as a storytelling piece for the animated series eventually when it happens. So yeah. Anyway, I will see you guys on Tuesday for whatever video I make next. Peace.